Okay, boys, the last time you guys showed up, the video got corrupted. So don't do it again. Behave yourselves. Or else. Hello again, everyone. Sparkster1701 here. Last month we posted a video on this guy, but I was then told that it blacked out during part of it. So my quality control people are going to need to be taught a few lessons. But in the sense, we'll redo him again. This is the Legacy United version of Soundwave. And he includes Ravage, Buzzsaw, and Rumble. I know this has been an anticipated figure for some of the fans and viewers, and I can't say that I blame them. Soundwave is a popular figure. The problem that I have with this one is that nothing on him is original. Every single character here has been done in other forms prior. Soundwave himself is based on the mold from the War for Cybertron Netflix toy line that were Walmart exclusives. So if you didn't shop at Walmart, you probably didn't get Soundwave. Of course, you probably do shop at Walmart, but if it's anything like my Walmart, they don't keep Transformers in stock very well. Except for Transformers 1 for some reason. At any rate, Ravage and Buzzsaw here were done up in a 2-pack during the War for Cybertron Siege line. Although Buzzsaw was painted up as Laserbeak for that series. So on a technicality, you could say this isn't worth it if you're a Buzzsaw fan. And Rumble over here is basically a repaint of the Studio 86 Rumble. Just done up in colors that make him resemble Frenzy from the Generation 1 toy line. I know some of you fans don't like hearing that, but it's true. Look it up. At any rate, let's take a look at each guy individually, and we'll go from there. We'll start our looks off with the star of the show, Soundwave. Soundwave, of course, was the Decepticons' communication officer in the Generation 1 era, and kind of continues to play that role. In some of the media, Soundwave is also depicted as a longtime friend of Megatron's, so that instills some blind loyalty from him to the Decepticon leader. Soundwave is likely one of the few characters in the Decepticons that Megatron can trust. Since, let's face it, if you saw the '86 animated film, it was Soundwave who carried Megatron off the battlefield. But of course, you'll also notice that Soundwave really didn't raise any sort of objections to throwing Megatron into space. Which kind of fits with the tech spec card bio saying that Soundwave is an opportunistic character. Soundwave was famous for having the cassette figures, or minicons, that would pop out from his chest. It's unknown how many he could carry, but if you follow the events from the animated movie, it showed that he could carry at least 5 of them at one time. During the Battle of Autobot City, when he was told to jam the transmission, Soundwave unleashed 4 of them at one time. Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, and Ratbat. But then you go to the scene inside Astro Train where the Decepticons start to fight for leadership. He releases another 4. Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, and Laserbeak. Now, this was likely due to an animation setup where they likely did that with having the older toys out, but then decided During that earlier scene, Ratbat should be let out to promote his toy. But if you go by that and take it in full in-universe context, there was at least 5 guys inside Soundwave's chest. Gets a little crowded in there, doesn't it? At any rate, let's take a look here at Soundwave's accessories. He comes with 3 weapons. The first one being his concussion cannon. And of course, the concussion cannon, the barrel on it can be slid inside for storage. This is mainly, though, used when you transform him into his alternate mode. Then right here on his shoulder, we have a missile launcher. This one's at least designed a little bit better than some of the previous Soundwaves that I've picked up over the years, because he's got similar parts to the War for Cybertron ones. Well, of course, because this one's based on one of them, but the ones that I had, where he became the spaceship, the post on this weapon would come out very easily. It's a little more snug on this one. Nope, I tell a lie, it can be pulled free. I'm going to leave it as is, but as you saw there, I did have some wiggle room with it. So, I thought it was improved. Turns out I am wrong. If it is improved, it is marginally. And then lastly, we have this handgun, which has come with every version of Soundwave since the War for Cybertron Siege line. And it unfolds out, so you can make it a rifle, or to store it easier. I've never really liked this gun on any of the Soundwaves, or Sound Blaster. So, I really wish they would find a way to not include it. I don't think Soundwave needs a second gun. At any rate, let's take a look at Soundwave's articulation. And since he's based on a previous mold, he has the same articulation. The head can turn from side to side, and it can look up and down. It is on a ball joint. You can raise his arms up about so far, and rotate them at the shoulder all the way around. You can bend his arm at the elbow greater than 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep. So he has G.I. Joe battle grip. You can twist him at his hips. So since he carries cassettes, he's got some dance moves. You can spread his legs apart into a full splits. He does have a thigh cut. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees, and he can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. All in all, very good articulation. Alright then, to transform Soundwave, it's a very simple process, really. We start kind of coming back here behind him. We pull down this section of his back. You'll fold the head down and inside, and then close it back up. We'll bring his arms up for a moment, because we're going to fold his hands inside. And then we need to turn them at the bicep, so they face out to the side, like that. Then pop them free at his shoulders, and they will go around. The shoulders will connect into the back, and then you should connect his arms together, like so. But before you connect the arms, my mistake, we need to rotate him at his waist, like so. Then we can connect everything together. On his legs here, on the back sides of them, you'll pull out this section of the leg, and you'll fold his feet inside. Then you'll raise out this gray piece before folding it down and covering up where his feet were hiding. Do that again here for the other side. And now once you've done that, rotate the legs so that this silver side is showing. Bend his legs at the hip, and then bend them again at the knee, and they should connect to his shoulders. Like so. Then you'll reach down here to this spot, flip it up, and underneath it are a couple of more tabs to extend outward. Just fold them out, and then fold it back down. And then there we have Soundwave in his cassette player mode. Of course, on the back of it, you can plug in his weapons. The two blue weapons can attach to the sides, and then you would attach the larger one in the middle. And then there you have it. Soundwave is in his tape player mode, and in a moment we'll demonstrate how that works. Next up we have Ravage. And as we stated earlier, he borrows the mold from the originally released Ravage from the War for Cybertron Siege line. But this time he's painted totally in black. The only silver is basically for the cassette and his missiles. As you can see here, the proton bombs he had are molded on, although they look kind of pathetic compared to the G1 version. But at least since they're molded on, he won't lose them. He's painted solidly in black, so he more resembles how he appeared in the Marvel Comics run. So if that's something that interests you, go for it. His articulation is kind of limited on here. You can move him at the shoulder and the hips, and the elbows and the knees on the legs, and that's really it. So, but then again, in this small size, you really can't expect a whole lot. Ravage always was depicted as a loyal Decepticon. Some say he is the ultimate Decepticon due to how well he can accomplish his missions. Then he also got quite a lot of attention in the G1 cartoon. Now to transform Ravage, we'll take his head here, and we will fold it down and inside his belly. The back legs are on a separate hip, and that will need to be folded in. You will then also rotate the animal legs so they go inside the cassette kibble. And then it's just a matter of lining them all up properly and folding them back into position along the sides. Which does, I will admit, take a fair bit of effort, because they do tend to hook up on themselves. So getting them in just the right place takes a little bit of concentrated effort. But once you do it, there we go, we've got him in place. Also got him upside down. And it does have a nice painted detail for the cassette tape. It even has Japan on there. A nice callback to the original toy. And of course, while we got him in cassette mode, we'll demonstrate how Soundwave works. Just push the button to open him up, slide him inside the clear plastic, and then fold it up, and Soundwave has him in storage. Next up we have Buzzsaw here. Buzzsaw doesn't get near the amount of attention like the other cassettes, due to the fact that in the Generation 1 time, Buzzsaw was the one included with Soundwave, so he rarely made appearances in the cartoon. Buzzsaw is depicted as an artistic transformer, who often used his diamond-edged beak to carve up his enemies and turn them into works of art. However, Buzzsaw also famously had a very fragile ego, so when his plans would fall apart, he often went to a corner and sulked instead of trying to figure out how to make it work again. Now, Buzzsaw here is a repaint of Laserbeak, but he's done it more to resemble his Generation 1 version, unlike Laserbeak, because Laserbeak had a large paint app on the head to be a massive eye, whereas they've just given him smaller ones, more akin to how the toy looked. Buzzsaw has a double-jointed neck for articulation, so you get a fair amount of work out of that. And his wings do have some, but it's more for transforming him than any other real action. To transform Buzzsaw, it's pretty simple. You take this silver piece here, and you fold it back like so. You'll fold the neck and head back. You straighten the neck out, and then it folds in like so. So make sure you get that silver piece folded all the way back like I just did. Bring his wings up like that, and then come down here and fold the feet in. And then there you have it. Buzzsaw is in his cassette form. Unfortunately, the cassette look would be on this side, and there's nothing to see here, folks. And then lastly, we have Rumble here. And Rumble is done up in colors similar to Generation 1 Rumble from the cartoon, but he's painted like Generation 1 Frenzy from the toys. Because Frenzy was in this dark blue color when he was released. So, technically you could call him either way, but the packaging says he is Rumble, so we'll go with that. He matches the Studio 86 Rumble, since he comes with the pile drivers. So if you buy this Rumble loose, you need to make sure he does have that. Rumble's accessories include his pile drivers. There we go. And these were always used in the cartoon to cause earthquakes. Judging by how massive those things could come, these must have a lot of horsepower in them. And then lastly, he has two guns. These are shaped just like how they were in the Generation 1 era. They just lack the chrome, which is probably a good thing with how easily that chrome wears off. But they have the wing protruding to the one side. As you saw, you could store them on his back. As you'll see, Rumble here does not have holes on his hand, but the guns can be plugged in to his wrists, and he can hold them that way. That looks kind of wicked. Also, kind of fits Rumble's personality, since he always was a brash little street punk. And almost as opportunistic as Soundwave. Rumble's articulation, you can turn his head from side to side. His arms will stretch out to the side like so. and you can rotate him at the shoulder. He does not have elbow articulation, but since his shoulders are on a ball joint, you do get some extra range of motion. He does not twist at his hips, but you can spread him apart into a full splits. He does not have a thigh cut at all. You can raise his leg at the hip a little greater than 90 degrees, and you can bend him at the knee 90 degrees. So, he has decent articulation for a character of his size. Now, to transform him, you would start by turning his head all the way around and then fold it into his back. You will fold his hands back into his arms, like so. Then you'll shift them at the shoulder so they go up to his head. The shoulders should line up and completely cover the socket where his head would go. You'll come down here to his legs and you'll fold his feet up. You'll turn the legs. And then we start to fold them upwards. They need to fold so we're doing something wrong here. Excuse me. Okay, I twisted the legs in the wrong direction. The feet should point outwards. And then you bring them up and fold them in. Like so. And that way the things line up with the blue labels on the other side for his cassette mode. So there we have it. You get a tape player and 3 tapes. Back in our day, that was usually enough to keep a party going for a little while. So now we get to my thoughts. I would like this toy more if it wasn't something that was totally unoriginal. As stated earlier, everybody that's in here is basically a reissue, or in one case, a recolor of something that was already put out. So if you already have all those figures, this probably isn't going to speak volumes to you. But however, if you don't have any of them, or if it's just something you'd like to have in your collection, I'd definitely say go for it, but definitely watch the markups on this version of Soundwave. He does tend to get a bit expensive due to his popularity, and in some cases I don't think most of the markups really justify it. But that's the opinion of one reviewer. At any rate, that's my review of the Legacy United version of Soundwave, Take 2. I hope you all enjoyed this improved review. And remember that if you like the content we feature on this channel, I would appreciate a like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.